Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is Sunday, July 11th, and we are going to do the week ahead in astrology from July 11th to July 17th. And then we'll do a quick card reading to see how this week is going to pan out for us. I'm going to apologize up front. Excuse me. I just somehow caught a bugger of a summer cold. So hopefully I'll be able to get through this without too much coughing. So thank you for your patience. Okay, so let's take a look at the week ahead in astrology. So here, we'll start with today, Sunday, the 11th. Today, the moon is in Leo, and it does make an opposition to Saturn and a square to Uranus. We remember that within the first 3 days of July, we had Mars in Leo making an opposition to Saturn and a square to Uranus. The opposition occurred on the 1st, the square occurred on the 3rd. And then the next week, which was the week that just passed, we had the same thing happen with Venus. It made an opposition to Saturn and a square to Uranus. And so today, the moon in Leo will do the same thing as Mars and Venus did, sort of bringing in that energy of the opposition to Saturn, which brings an awareness of where exactly we are and how far we need to go when it comes to our personal journey and the more collective journey that Saturn in Aquarius shows us. Saturn in Aquarius deals with the structure of how we relate to each other as human beings, right? And so it's kind of a personal thing today, in the square to Uranus creates a need to take an action to break free from constraints that we feel are holding us back. So we may experience that today on a sort of a micro level and a more personal level, because we're dealing with the moon. And then we also have Mercury ingress into Cancer, which is the chart we have right here. And we can see here that Mercury has just moved into Cancer. And Mercury is the energy of, or the planet associated with, how we take in and, to a certain extent, process information. Mercury is the interface between, really between our experience of the world outside of us and how we integrate that and experience it within us, right? And so when it moves into Cancer, the Mercury becomes disposited by the moon. So whenever the moon changes signs, the quality of Mercury and how we take information changes. Now, it will always, while it's in Cancer, it will always be an emotional experience, but we have to take in the quality of where the moon is as well. And as we're doing this, as Mercury is moving into Cancer, the moon is in Leo. And so it is very self-expressive, it's dramatic, it in some cases can be a bit full of itself. But that is the energy of Mercury moving into Cancer. So it'll still be emotional, but it'll be emotional, and we'll probably take things personally for a couple of days, right? Each time the moon changes sign, the quality of that Cancer in Mercury in Cancer will change and will shift. When it moves into Virgo, we may become a bit more persnickety. When it moves into Libra, we might become more congenial. When it moves into Scorpio, we will become more intense, right? So that's how that kind of works. So whenever something is in Cancer and gets disposited by the moon, we have this sort of waxing and waning energy. So look for that, and generally know that within 2.5 days that things are going to change. Okay. Okay. So Monday to the 12th, We have Mercury making a waxing trine to Jupiter. This is creative self-expression. And what's interesting is that this is a Leo side trine, and trines bring flow. Now, Mercury deals with our logical mind, and Jupiter deals with our intuitive mind. So it's as if our logical and intuitive mind are in flow with each other. And what's even more important is that these two planets are the rulers of the North and South node. Mercury, the North node, is in Gemini, ruled by Mercury, and the South node is in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. And so we will not only have this flow of energy between our more intuitive side and our more logical side, but it will inform the nodes to a certain extent. And so this is an opportunity to both look forward and collect the information necessary, North Node in Gemini, while accessing South Node in Sagittarius. Knowledge that we have from the past or from previous lives, if you're into that. I am. Excuse me. So this is actually a good day for that. So expect Monday to be quite informative within your own self. Like, things are going to make sense to you come Monday, I think. Let me know. All right, July 13th, that's Tuesday, which is a 25-7 vibration. 25-7 in the Kabbalah is located in Tiphereth, which is the heart chakra. And it is associated with the Knight of Wands in the Tarot. And the season of spring, actually. The wands are associated with spring. On that day, we have Venus and Mars make a conjunction at 20 degrees of Leo. Now, Venus and Mars come together about every 2 years. And the last 2 times they came together, the conjunction occurred in Virgo. And so for the last 4 years, we could say, before this conjunction, we were attempting at perfecting the way we relate. How we doing? Excuse me. I don't want you guys to worry about me. This really is like a sudden thing, that cold. And I had my vaccine, so this is not COVID, just so you know. Okay, so the Sabian symbol for 20 degrees of Leo. Zuni Indians perform a ritual to the sun, a return to the glorification of natural energies. Now, if you look over here, you can see this is the chart for the sun and, for Mars and Venus making that conjunction. It's 1948, so we round up to use the Sabian symbols. And as far as what is happening with this, what other aspects are going on to Venus and Mars here. Let's see, this Venus and Mars, of course, is square Uranus, because remember, Venus and Mars made their opposition to Saturn. It's also opposite Saturn, although it's kind of widely opposite Saturn, but still. So we can see that this Venus-Mars conjunction is still under the influence of the Saturn-Uranus square, but a little bit more so by Uranus. So that sort of brings in this sort of new revolutionary, different kind of energy. And let's see, it's also making a square to Ceres here in Taurus, and a trine to Eris in Aries. Now we have a square to Uranus, which is revolutionary, and we have a trine to Eris, which is revolutionary. We have a theme here. We do have an inconjunct, although it's wide. I guess it's not really considered an inconjunct to some people, but I would. I actually let's not add an inconjunct. There's no point. It'll just make things more complex, and it doesn't need to be. I think this is actually pretty straightforward. Although in the chart for the United States, because this is erected for Washington, D.C., this conjunction is in the 12th house, in the 12th house. So it may not be evident as to who's getting along here. So let's see what it says here. This is from Dane Rudger's book, The Sabian Symbols 365. Hold on, let me get it right. An astrological mandala, the cycle of transformations, and it's 360 degrees. Symbolic phases. Well, the first symbol of this fivefold sequence, which was a symbol that we haven't talked about, but let's just keep reading, pictured the magnificence of the returning sun after a storm. In this last symbol, we see, by implication, man's returning to nature and glorifying the sun after a long crisis of civilized living in artificial cities. For many years now, the American Pueblo Indian has been, for the weary city dweller, a dried up intellectual, a symbol of this return to nature. After having ruthlessly destroyed him, we come to him as an exemplar of peaceful and harmonious group living. So it's, we tried to destroy the natives, and now we come back to realize the wisdom of the native, right? This fifth symbol brings us the image of a reversal of our socialized activity and opens for us a new way to the deepest release of long denied root energies. Natural man's link to himself consciously to the source of all life on earth. And this means identification through worship and the sanctification of the creative power. The interesting thing about this conjunction occurring on a day that vibrates to Tiphereth, which is located in the heart, is the fact that the sun, Leo, is ruled by the sun and is associated both metaphorically, symbolically, and actually to the physical heart in astrology. So this opportunity. Now, remember, Venus and Mars are coming off those oppositions and squares. So after a very long slog of their last synodic cycle, and the last synodic cycle, we had both Mars and Venus retrograde during that period. A lot of going over, a lot of review, a lot of things, right? We remember 2020, right? 2019, 2020. And now we're coming to the point where we're coming back together with these two in the sign associated with love. So this really is important that we connect with our own heart centers at this time. And if you want to do a little ritual, this would be a good time when Venus and Mars come together, especially if you want to see a relationship or you want to improve a relationship, whether it be a relationship with another person, romantic or otherwise, or just simply a relationship with yourself, because Venus and Mars actually reflect the relationship between the inner masculine and the inner feminine. So, okay. Oh, here it is. I have two of these. Isn't that funny? So this is a prettier slide of the same thing. Excuse me. On Wednesday, the 14th of July, the moon moves into Virgo, and we have a waxing sextile between the sun and the moon. Of course, the sun is in Cancer, the moon is in Virgo. This waxing sextile, meaning it's going from a new to full, right? Because this is part of the lunation cycle when we're dealing with the sun and the moon. This is a time when we open the lines of communication. And with the moon in Virgo, it's very practical. There's a lot of practicality here. And so this is a good time to talk about things, to open the lines of communication that will help you make your life work better. So if you have a plan for your home or some home renovations or anything like that, or just making a list of things that you need to get done. Of course, Virgo loves lists. So this is right up Virgo's alley. But it gives you an opportunity. It's a good time to talk about it, to see, to prioritize, and to work together through this synodic cycle. This lunation synodic cycle, this lunation, of course, began with that new moon in Cancer. And Cancer is really all about home and hearth and security and food, and also a good day to plan a party, I guess. Plan a party, not actually do it, but plan it. Thursday, the 15th, the moon shifts from Virgo into Libra. And of course, remember now we have the moon in Libra, so it's going to influence that Mercury in Cancer that I talked about. But we also have today the Sun trine Neptune, creative self-expression. Usually when Neptune is around, people get confused, and this can happen. There can be confusion. There can also be some storm stuff happening. Neptune is often associated with the forces of nature, actually. And so of course, there's going to be a storm somewhere, but with the Sun trining Neptune like this, whenever we see trines, there's nothing holding the energy back. So things flow quite a bit. But beyond that, it's actually a very good day for your imagination. It's actually a great day to relax. It connects with spirit. So we do have a little bit of actually a respite, which is nice because, after the last 2 weeks, or the first 2 weeks of July has been like kerpow, right? So it's nice to get a little rest. On Friday the 16th, the moon in Libra, of course, it's still in Libra. It's there for 2.5 days. We have the Venus in conjunct Neptune. Now, Venus and Neptune generally are nice bedfellows in a way, although we can be too idealistic with Neptune and Venus, but with the in conjunct, be really careful about your relationships, falling in love and, unusual stuff. And you're not going to see clearly with this aspect, and you have to be careful you don't overextend yourself when it comes to spending. Venus loves to spend, and Neptune is idealistic. And it's like, oh yeah, I can buy this $1,500 couch. I'm going to get a bonus this year from my, whatever it is, it's kind of like, don't spend it if you don't have it, and don't think that you're going to get it because you imagine because it's, it always works out for me. That is not necessarily going to work for you today. So we have missing a mark. Missing a mark can happen in relationships because we're dealing with Venus. We need a need for mental adjustments on that day. And we also have Chiron stationing retrograde, 13 degrees of Aries. And this is kind of an interesting Sabian symbol. It says, an unexploded bomb reveals an unsuccessful social protest. The keynote here is an immature evaluation of the possibility of transforming suddenly the status quo. This in its way can be connected, maybe obscurely or kind of obtusely to the Venus-Neptune in conjunct, expecting like these miraculous turnarounds. And yet, Chiron in Aries, even at this degree, turning around at this degree, I think it's warning us not to expect too much, but you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater either. There have been, there has been progress. But we may feel at this time that not enough progress has happened when it comes to the healing of the masculine in this case, I think. Excuse me. Almost done. I did not bring water down with me, which was silly. That was just plain old silly. Saturday, the 17th, we have a first quarter square between the sun and the moon. The sun is in Cancer, the moon in Libra. This is a crisis in action. This is part of the lunation cycle that began with the new moon in Cancer. Remember that new moon in Cancer the sun and the moon were conjunct, but the only other aspects to that moon were all from the transpersonal planets. So they remember we have this sort of transpersonal evolutionary energy, even within the lunation cycle, in a way that makes the personal quite global in a way. So your personal decisions count in the global picture. We also have on this day Pluto making an opposition to the sun. Now, this is the halfway point between the sun-Pluto synodic cycle, right? It's a year-long cycle. The sun comes together with Pluto, goes around and comes back together. This occurred on January 14th, 2021. On that day, we had a 20/2 vibration, which is the judgment card, the final judgment. You know, the angel blowing the horn and the people coming out of the coffins, that card, which is the card of awakening, is also the card associated with us, with the planet Pluto, interestingly enough. So it started in a very Plutonic way. That was at 25 degrees of Capricorn. It says a store filled with precious Oriental rugs, the use of cultural and artistic processes as a means to enhance personal comfort and appreciation. So there is this sense of mankind making things more comfortable. So it kind of like this is progress. We have progressed in that respect. And here are the two charts. This is the initial conjunction on January 14th. Here we have it. And we had the sun and Pluto making its conjunction. This is for Washington, D.C. So it occurred in the 11th house. The 11th house is the house, interestingly enough, of the Senate and the Congress, right? This is the let's see, there's the executive, the judicial, and the legislative. So this is the legislative branch right here. I knew I'd remember my high school civics, although I don't think we had civics. We actually had history. I learned that in history, but I went to a Catholic school, so I kind of wish I'd had civics. Anyway, so, and this is the opposition here. And we can see, where are we here? Where's the opposition? Here's the sun, and here's Pluto. We also have to remember, at least for the US, and sorry for those people who are not from the US, I keep banging that horse, right? I keep banging that drum. We're in our Pluto return. So this, and while it's not exact until next year, 2022 and 2023, we are still in it, and we're in probably in the most intense parts of it as we approach that Pluto return. So a lot of things come tumbling down through this process. But with the sun there in an opposition, and the sun is actually conjunct the United States Mercury, we really get a view of us versus them, right? And them being those people who hold all the cards, right? The powerful. I just saw today that, was it Branson went into space? I think he was going up and coming right back down. But, and hopefully he was okay, because I didn't watch though. I just saw him go up and I'm like, oh, a billionaire goes into space. Yeah, I don't want to watch this. And so I shut it off, but hopefully he got down safe, because I like Branson. I think of all the millionaires, he's probably a billionaire, sorry. Him and Musk and Bezos. I find him the most engaging and most, dare I say, human of all of them. Okay, so we have this opposition here. And in this chart, this is a chart for Washington again, it's in the 1st and the 7th house. So there's a realization, and we might feel it perhaps as a realization in our relationships. But wherever you have Cancer and Capricorn in your chart, that's where the opposition is. Just like wherever you have Capricorn, in this case, 25 degrees of Capricorn in your chart, that's where the seed was planted. So we're becoming aware of something. Let's just look at the Sabian symbols for these 2 points of oppositions. Saving symbol for the sun at 26 degrees of Cancer. Guests are reading in a library of a luxurious home. Keynote, the transference of social privilege to the level of intellectual enjoyment. Keyword, class standards of information. And the saving symbol for 26 degrees of Capricorn, nature spirit dancing in the iridescent mist of a waterfall. The ability to perceive the hidden and creative spirit of natural phenomena. Keyword, occult energy, hidden energy, the hidden energy within nature. The interesting thing about the saving symbol for 26 degrees of Cancer, Jane Rudger wrote this book in, let me just see here, 1973, before the internet, right? So we have access to information way quicker than we've ever had before. And that has changed things. One of the reasons why the old rules don't work anymore. And so there's a little less of class that deals with this because, well, you know, if you can't afford an internet connection, but information is much easier to get, and it doesn't necessarily mean like you can learn a whole lot even on YouTube, right? I was watching today how to paint a picture with acrylic paints. I'm like, I'm going to try that, you know, like normally you would have to go to a school to learn that. Right now, people are showing what they know, just like I do my astrology on YouTube. It's both a way for me to share what I love and educate people if you're interested in learning about astrology. It's an incredible field. And it really does help you like figure out, oh my God, what's going on, right? And then you can see and you're like, oh, I see, that's what's going on. Oh, and how long is it going to last? It's going to last a year. Okay. How long is it going to last? It's going to last a month. Okay. It's like at least you get some sort of time frame on these things, which I think is important, because I think the hardest thing to deal with is thinking that everything is just random and that you're at the mercy, right? You're at the mercy of random events. Everything serves. Okay, so I am going to, what am I going to do? Hold on. Oh, I'm going to stop the share and let's do a quick card reading. So this is just going to be, I think, a truncated Celtic cross for this week ahead. So let's see what the week ahead is going to look like for us. And I'm going to use the what is this called again? Oh, I lost it. It was right here in front of me. What did I do with that? Goodness gracious. Oh, here we go. Sorry. The Light Seers Tarot. I love this little deck. It's so cool. All right, let's see. Just shuffle them, cut them, see what's ahead this week. What's ahead for us this week? We have the Nine of Wands here. We're on the ready. We're on the ready. This person has built her, there we go, has built her little fence there. She's put up a boundary. She's put up a boundary and she's shining her light. Let's see what's crossing that. The Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords. So the challenge, this is sort of standing your ground. And the challenge is not to rush into too fast in action. You want to not jump into things, right? It's better to just hold your space than it is to take an action that is not well thought out. We have the Six of Swords here underneath it all. This is us moving away from, this is kind of asking us to move away from the drama of things and the trauma of things. Interesting. See what's in the past. The Two of Wands. This, actually, this sort of reminds me of us like looking out the window at the world going by and not being able to interact with it, right? Maybe this was last July for us, but this sort of wanting to go out and expand. I mean, this woman has a picture of a VW bus and a globe. She wants to go somewhere, but she's behind the window. She can't leave the house. So that gives us the energy. That sort of describes like what life has been for us for the last year. We have the Two of Cups in the sky. So this is an opportunity for relating. So if you have a relationship, this is a good time to spend time with the one you love. If you don't have a relationship, this might be a time when you could be a little social, right? A little social. And the Three of Cups, which is celebration. So generally, a good week, I think. And then underneath it all, we have the Three of Pentacles, which always talks to me about like cooperative work, but with people who are good at what they do, right? So you want to, if you're doing a project, you want to do it with the best people you can. So be aware of that. But generally, this week is, according to these cards anyway, an opportunity to sort of move away from the drama, just sort of put your fence up, stand your ground, keep an eye on the perimeter, because there can be those people who want to come in and create chaos. But mostly, what is that? What did Forrest Gump say? He didn't say this, but I'll say chaos is what chaos does. So avoid chaos to the best of your ability. And if people want to come at you with stuff and, goad you on, don't let it work. Go have yourself, go relax, go enjoy yourself, hang around with friends, spend time with somebody you love, reconnect in those ways. But I think it's best, if I dare say, that you remain close to home. That's what it feels like to me. For those who can, not everybody can, but healthy boundaries, very, very important. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I didn't cough too much. Like and subscribe, and I will see you again next week. Take care. Namaste.